Okay, the technology year in review part now. Beyond Winky Dink, which means that this is probably the 66th year of interactive TV. Black Mirror Bandersnatch got press all around the world. How was it done? We will find out later. But here's the New York Times, and after saying it was very exciting, now they're saying, what's it mean? And bigger question, what's with the color change on the same website? Some of you may have been at the Esports session. Here's another Esports thing. An Esports driver who had only done simulators beat a Formula One driver in an actual road race. And is esports the only thing eating into Netflix audiences? We heard at the esports section that that was a problem. Well, no, because here's Netflix themselves and tweeting at halftime in the Super Bowl that their streaming was down 32% during the Super Bowl. Apparently the Super Bowl thing is kind of a big deal. Ad age. They say, contrary to popular reports, that actually the audience for the Super Bowl might be the third largest audience of any television event in history, if you count the people who are in parties and in bars. But they say, such is the state of ratings, that it's either the third largest television event ever, or it's the least watched Super Bowl in 11 years. Nielsen says live TV viewing is up 16 minutes in the last 6-month check that they did. Super Bowl set a streaming record, while TV viewership maybe saw a massive drop. And that's true, but look at the numbers there. Went up 31%, the streaming over 2018, but that's 2.6 million. And the total audience was almost 101 million, not counting the bars and stuff. So that's less than 3% of the audience did streaming. One issue might be sometimes streaming doesn't work. Here's a complaint from somebody saying that YouTube didn't show the English match properly. It's not just YouTube. Here's BBC having problems with their streaming, and it's not just those. Here's Amazon Prime drawing fire for US Open coverage and stopping the posting of more bad reviews. Another problem with streaming is, according to Microsoft, the digital divide, this was a shocker to me, is quite large. They say 162.8 million people in the United States do not have broadband access. That's a lot. Here is a big issue in piracy, password sharing, and here is a big issue of password not sharing. 190 million that can't be found because the guy died with the only password. Now this is an interesting slide that I would have ignored before this year. It's from Phoenix and appeared in TV Technology, and it talks about the measured lag behind real time for various streaming services, and this is just the lag of the services. The devices could add as much as another 100 seconds to this. So we have ranges from 28.2 seconds to 46.7 seconds, and in any other year I would have said, okay, great, the longer you can encode, the better the picture quality is going to be. But the Supreme Court has legalized sports betting all over the place, and New Jersey is actually taking bets on Oscar winners. Now it's kind of a big deal if you have a 146-second delay, because somebody could maybe bet ahead of you. And you may have seen in the old days, the bottom right story is back from 2013, Wall Street going crazy over ultra-low latency for their trading. So some people say 5G is the way to get around latency. That will take care of everything, except now AT&T is being sued and they have to defend their decision to say that 4G was actually 5G. And whether you think that's significant or not, they're already discussing 6G. And infrastructure is clouding the bull view on that. We had some deaths this year: Cbit, GeoCities, Google+, Time Warner, Ultraviolet, and so on. But cord cutting seems to have stopped. Slowed down to a crawl or maybe stopped completely, with 71% of consumers planning to keep the cord. And you could say, oh, well, that's just this one survey from GfK, but actually there are other sources that have come to basically the same conclusion. You're probably familiar with Tom Cruise and having a campaign saying you should turn off motion smoothing on TVs so that you can see the content the way it was intended to be seen. And as soon as that came up, an engineer posted this on LinkedIn, and he said, oh, of course you need it. It's not smooth. Well, engineers should not make aesthetic decisions. Software disenchantment. Software is getting very, very big. Here's a guy who says that the Google Keyboard app eats 150 megabytes. Windows 95 was 30 megabytes. All this does is make a picture of 30 keys. And here is a camera, the New Speed Champion. The previous one that I told you about was 4.4 trillion frames per second. Now we're up to 10 trillion frames per second. Chemists have discovered why blue light is hurting us. So we have not only psychological problems with watching our screens all the time, but maybe getting into macular degeneration. And this was an interesting one. Some movie producers are buying all the tickets in Chinese cinemas to their movies, and nobody actually watches them. But the cinemas report that all the tickets were sold, and that gets investors excited about investing in the movie. And then finally, we have a flying cinema with popcorn delivered by drone. So I think we have some time for questions. I will be happy to entertain them. And again, there's the URL for these slides, which are available currently online. And you don't even have to go to the HPA site. They will be available on the HPA site too. Any questions?
Any answers?
There's one in front of you, Leon.
Hi, I was just wondering, was that for real? That movie?
Yes. It's a flying school in the UK, and apparently that's what they do for their classes. They haul them up 100 feet over the ground, and they watch a movie. Maybe gets them used to being in a rickety platform in the middle of the air. Any other questions? I think the drones with the popcorn is a new element, though.
A question, just a correction. I wondered if Di had just got married and changed their name.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you all.